Welcome to the Australian Photographic Prize. Here we are on a Saturday afternoon in sunny, bright, warm Melbourne. Well, at least the Melbourne I'm in looks like that because we haven't been outside yet. We're judging the digital categories in the professional categories, the digital images, and we are looking at commercial. Commercial includes architecture and travel. We are halfway through this category. We just took a short break for lunch and we're about to complete the rest of these images. We're looking at a total of 35 images in this particular category, which are the finalists after we've been through a pre-judging online from the initial entries. So we're going to get straight back into it. A reminder that this category is sponsored by Godox Lighting. Godox supply lighting for all sorts of photography, and I suggest you get a chance to go and have a look at their products, have a test, and I'm sure you'll find a practical use for whatever type of photography you're into. We thank Godox for their support once again. With that, judges, we've got Mark, we have Bruce, we have Faru, we have Catherine, we have Heather, and we have Harriet.
That's okay.
And we have Richard on the end. Sorry.
If you didn't call me Hillary, I get Hillary a lot by people who definitely know better.
I apologise, Mr. Bennett. Of course, we have Katerina and Harriet. All right, let's do this before I make a bigger mistake. Next image, please. Thank you. I'm not calling you Hillary. Why have we not got an image? Okay. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, great. Just, sorry about that, back home. You do have time to go and make that extra cup of coffee. As we just sort this out, can you give us back to a... Charging network cables. No, we've dropped out. Okay. Have you put us back to...
Oh God, I just got a shock.
Yeah. Welcome back. We just had a little technical hitch, but our judges are now looking at the first image after lunch. We're still in the commercial category in the digital area. These are the professional categories. Commercial, sponsored by our good friends at Godox, source of elite lighting for photographers. This image scores 77, all judges very close to that. Harriet, can you tell us why this deserved this highly commended appraisal from the panel?
Yeah, this is a great professional food photography image. The lighting's great. It's very crisp and the colours look great. Potentially a little bit tight, maybe, with the cropping could have been brought out a little bit. But yeah, great industry standard.
Thanks, Harriet. Mark, you have something to add?
New knives and forks, people. New knives and forks.
Did you get zapped, Harriet?
Yeah, I got zapped twice.
I think that's because you're bringing all this static in. Next image, please. Image scores 84, silver award. Well done. 4 of our judges up in there and the other judge just underneath the silver bracket. Let's have a comment, please, from Bruce.
Beautifully put together and stylised food photography. The only comment I really got is the top left-hand corner where the vignette is falling off from the lighting. You could probably bring that in a little bit more to match because it's got a little bit of a different colour tone to the rest of the image just from the fall off, and that would just make it pop just a little bit more.
I was just admiring how well these ASO monitors bring out the detail and the shadows and hold the detail and the highlights and give you good consistent expression across the whole image. It's consistent tonality and colour. That's ASO for you. Next image, please. No comments with this one. Image score 75. High standard, high standard of work in the highly commended area. Can I have a comment, please, from Katrina?
Sure. Really nice celebration of colour and culture. What would bring this up is perhaps a little bit more control in the lighting on the main subject here. It's a little bit hot in places, and the awesome feature of the foot here is, had that been sharp, it would have elevated this image as well.
Thanks, Kat. Or Mr. Bennett, depending. Next image, please. You might cop that one now. This one has a description. Shot in one long exposure using light painting. The commercial brief was to create an image that showcased the business with a point of difference. Image scores 76. Highly commended once again. Mark, quick comment, please.
Yeah, just with the highlight on the back of the neck, I would have loved to have seen some more motivation from warm light coming towards the face instead.
Thanks, Mark. Next image, please. No commentary on this one. Image scores 79, highly commended. Have a challenge from Kat on 85. Thanks, Kat. 76, 78, 78, 79.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat about this. Look, it's well seen. It's nicely composed. The colour harmony with sort of the warm yellows paired up against the cool of the blues is quite pleasing to the eye. What would elevate it further would be that little Easter egg that you guys talk about, cookie, crumb, whatever you want to call it, all the bits and pieces. But I think this is a successful commercial piece. But yeah, talk to me. What have I missed?
Mark?
Yeah, look, I would have absolutely been up there, and I sat it on the edge because this is one of those shots that you'd be like, wow, yeah, I nailed that perspective, I got it, it's great. But it's just the finessing. So the detail and loss in the highlights, as well as a few little bits and pieces that would have been easily cloned out, have just been missed in the image.
Okay, maybe one other comment, Faru, thank you.
Yeah, I think like the composition in this image is interesting, and the tonal palette, the color palette is divine. But I think like the reflection, especially on the right side on the wall and the top, it's a bit distracting, and they are powerful and strong, and just take so much attention away from the whole rest of the image.
Back to you, Kat.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The highlights for me actually add little points of interest. I appreciate that they are highlights, but it's sort of, there's little stopping points around the image, this sort of sharp, jagged spiral that we've got going on. The light and the shade works beautifully. When I blur my eyes, it's super interesting as well. So it works sort of graphically, artistically, as well as it does as a literal, staircase capture, architecture. I'm on silver, and yeah, have a look. If you're willing to move. If not, don't.
All right, a convincing argument from Kat. Take on board what you've heard. But seriously, we get that extra information, but we also get a little bit more time to think about it, and we may choose to move for other reasons either way. So we end up with a revised score of 79. So still highly commended, but a good discussion nonetheless. Is that right? Did we do that? Just checking with Alicia, she keeps me honest. Okay, next image please. Commercial use description. Wendy Sharp, AM, Spellbound, a sumptuous exhibition at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, where Wendy's studio has been partially reconstructed for her artist in residence, where the public can meet and watch her at work. Image score 77, highly commended. Everybody's pretty close to that, within a point or two. Quick comment, if I can, from Harriet.
A lovely, fun environmental portrait. The subject is a little bit lost in here. I can see that, they're an artist and they have all this stuff around them, and that adds to the character of them, but still the doll on the left-hand side is really distracting away from the person. It's sort of, there's two people fighting for attention here. And then there is sort of a lot of gaps of space within the image as well, which sort of makes it feel kind of busy, but then also sparse. So if it's going to be a really hectic, busy environmental portrait, really bring that stuff in, make the crop really tight so it feels like her art's overwhelming her. But yeah, great effort.
Okay, thank you, Harriet. Let's have another judge change, just so we give everyone a Guernsey. Can I please have David join the panel? And can I please have Mark, you can have a little break. Thank you. And Harriet, you can have a little break. And let's have Johan back. Thank you. Is that right? Have I got the numbers right there? Thank you. Next image, please. There's no comment with this one. Very good. Mark, can you just come in and adjust this, please? Thanks, David. Just step back and sort it. Take a moment to have a look, mate. Image scores 81, silver award. We've got Johan on 80. I think your hand went up first.
Johan shot it like a rocket.
Okay, Johan, you get the challenge on 87. You have Katrina on 88. Still 8's done. Farouk 73, Bruce we have a 76 and an 82. Off you go. Off you go.
What a simple repetition that could easily just fall away into nothingness and be disregarded because it's just a pattern, but it's not just a pattern. It goes deeper than that. There's a lot of construction happening in here that controls our vision. The upper elements are slightly darker than the rest, so it holds you from falling out of the top of the image. The repeated panels, whatever you want to call them, are interesting enough, but that's not what the photograph is about. The photograph is in the shadows and the way, the interesting play on the shadows as they read from right to left, going down to nothing. It's quite clever, and I've given it an 87 to reward the photographer for their control and their cleverness.
Okay, Farouk 73.
Yeah, I really drawn to the repetition, and obviously the images talk about the shadows and creating such a graphical, visual impact. However, when you are looking the image closer, you've seen some pixelation and some grain happen, which I feel like it's perhaps the file pushed a bit. And also is about the shadow, and you want to see the shadow in a very perfect way, but there are lots of patchiness happen at the bottom, and the shadow is not cohesive everywhere. It's just like it's washed up in the middle. So I really wanted to come up and listening if you explain those errors.
Okay, let's go to Katrina on 88.
Yeah, I'm with Johannes. I say Johannes, that's technically his name. Just in case everyone thinks I'm stuffing it up. Yeah, I am. I think this is quite visually arresting. Again, the sameness as such, but it's also not, right? So you sort of get that extra element. It's not exactly what you think it is straight away. I just find it very visually pleasing, balanced. Sort of got this sort of chessboard situation happening. If you blur your eyes, it does that weird thing where you don't know if the squares are receding or coming forward as well. So some visual play there going on. Yes, it's very simple, but it works graphically, and I didn't initially see the sort of what you're talking about, the technical issues, so I can take those into account, but I definitely think it's worthy of a silver for sure.
Johan?
So I did give it 87, and I'm very happy for it to sit there. One of the things, Farouk, that I felt is that it could easily have been turned into something too perfect, and I love the reality that's given to this image by the inclusion of the imperfections, and I feel that makes it even stronger still. I gave it an 87. I'd like you to join me if you can.
You hold this, please. Everyone else can rescore accordingly. Thank you. Johan. Okay, image now scores 83, silver award. Well done. Next image, please. Sorry, no, you're fine. There's no other judging room now anyway, so you have to speed it out. You good, Kat? Yeah, sorry. No worries. Image scores 83, silver award. You can. It's an interesting panel because we've got 2 people who can challenge from the upper level, and we actually have 2 that could have challenged from the lower level. You were the first one to speak up, so you get to challenge. You have an 88, an 88, a 78 and a 78, and an 82.
Cool. Rock and roll. Okay, so this is visual impact when it comes around is quite striking. Those courts just stand out. And I think production-wise it's handled exceedingly well. Now, the first thing I sort of was like, about was the top right-hand corner with a slight bend in the line and that. But that's just the reality of this space, right? Those squares on the left-hand side that come up are other parts of the court and that, but you could sit back and look at this almost as a vertical architectural photo in one respect, so if you wanted to take it that way as well, like that's a house or a building and it's leading into these spaces and these are big windows. Geometrically, you've got all these kind of fun lines, you know, as a video person that as well, I see all the different aspects you can throw onto a video screen or a crop in each of those courts. The reality of the people on the side just brings you back to earth. It's just delightfully put together, and I think it's worthy of a high or a solid silver. So come up
Thanks,
here.
Bruce. Mark, 78.
Yeah, I had to hold back just a little bit. I think this is a well-executed photograph, but there's a heavy-handedness in the post-production that is just gone that step too far, and especially when we're not cleaning up some of those little white flecks left near the 4 square courts, which otherwise should have been addressed if you're going to go that heavy with things. So it just feels like it's been hit a little too hard with a hammer.
Okay, let's go to Kat in the middle first.
Yes, I completely agree. I'm on 82, that's why I didn't go into high silver. Definitely the oversaturation particularly for me was unnecessary. It's quite a strong image otherwise. Don't push it so far, let it speak for itself. I'm listening, but I'm certainly happy with it at silver.
Farouk?
I give it highly recommended, and I'm glad, Bruce, actually you made a challenge because this image is really challenging. This image has such a strong part, like a very punchy part, like the what they call it, the game yard, like the blue and the green. It's really graphical. It's really eye-catching, and especially the L shape, not this side, the left side, with the black and the white lines. It's really graphically strong, it's visually strong, but I'm not sure really the right side, the car, they are cute, but I'm not sure they are really adding anything to the story of the image. When you just like want to crop it, you feel even compositionally it works better. But I really want for a good excuse to come to silver.
Okay, Johan, you have something to add?
Yes, I applaud the inclusion of the cars because it gives a reality to the image that takes it away from simply being a graphic. However, it is a strong graphic. It's almost like an eye test when you look at it. Can you see the difference in the size of the courts, etc.? So I feel that it should be rewarded for the challenges it gives to us.
Bruce?
Thanks, everybody. I didn't see those little, white flecks and that. Yeah, they're a little annoying, and they could obviously be cleaned up to just make this go that little bit more. But overall, compositionally wise, this just sits really nicely. I don't feel it's oversaturated. I feel like this is, after, it's some places do look like this. It's strong and it's bold. It clearly demonstrates, if you were the manufacturer or the person that puts those courts together, think about all the utility that is in that space. It's insane. I can't even tell you what half of those sports are. So, yeah, as a bit of communication, I think this works really well, and I think it deserves a real solid silver.
Okay, you hold your score there, and everyone else can rescore. Thank you. Image scores 84, solid silver. Just a quick comment for the photographer: when you are editing, particularly with grass in a situation like this, and you start trying to fix up patches of grass, just watch for inconsistencies, where we go from a textural area to something that looks a little bit smoothed out too much and it's inconsistent, because along the bottom there's a little bit of that. Okay, next image, please. This image scores a 79 by majority.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a challenge from Bruce on 86. You've also got an 84 and then a couple of 78s and a 77.
All right. This is it stands out really well when it comes around. And like we've got this sort of a square crop of what you could almost say is a Fibonacci sequence. Almost. It's so close. But it's arresting in that way. Your eye follows down the staircase. If I was the manufacturer of this staircase, I'd be stoked to have this, because it really shows the detail and the care in the creation of this. Your eye follows around and hits the bottom. Normally I'd be interested in knowing what would be at the bottom of the staircase. In this instance, I don't care, because I want to come back up the staircase. The brick tiles, the glass bricks at the top here are really well handled, because they can be just exceptionally hard to make sure that they feel right and don't look dirty and still, come across as they are. I think symmetrically it works really well. It's just a pleasing image, and as a commercial piece, I could, as the manufacturer or the architect, I'd be super happy to see this. So I think it's a good solid silver here as well.
Okay, let's hear from Farouk.
Bruce. Bruce, I feel like, this is, it has a strong visual impact. But however, the post-production treatment is not really cohesive in this image. I see the file is pushed, so it caused like some really warm, saturated tone at the bottom of the image. And then at top, we have like more gray brown, and the right corner, we have more contrasty brown. And I think this is really let me down as well. And it's especially in the top of the image, we have the left side, there's a perfect detail in the highlight, and those windows you mentioned, and I really adore it. But the right side, again, we have like, there's nothing happen, some patchiness happen in the right side. If the post-production would be cohesive, I definitely would be in the silver.
All right, well, you've got a friend in Johan, so Johan, you're an 84.
Yes, I gave this an 84. I'm thinking the commercial aspects of this image. I'm thinking of the suppliers that created the elements, the handrail, which is so wonderfully strongly presented and leads you on a journey as you step down. The stepping, the supports, the glass tiles, less so. And the feeling that I get out of this, ignoring the constraints of the processing. I'm going to say this, it makes me feel like a warm cup of coffee. And yeah, so I gave it, I think I gave it an 84 or something, and I'd like to see it in a silver. Who doesn't want coffee now?
Back to you, Bruce.
I have coffee in my hand, so you're speaking my language. Thank you for pointing out the processing. I actually didn't see that. I got quite enjoying the image as it was, and I didn't see that. But some noise is not that bad. And in this instance, I don't think it overwhelms the image. Yes, if you're pixel peeping, it definitely stands out. But when you sit back here, when you're actually enveloped by seeing the whole image and not being right at the smallest parts of the image, it disappears. So yeah, I think it's a good silver here, and I hope you guys can help come up and reward me for it.
Yeah, yep, okay, you hold your score, and everyone else rescore, please. Image scores 82, silver award.
Thank you.
I'm just suspecting that it's just a challenge of mixed lighting, because I think the yellow is coming from the tungsten on each floor, and when you get halfway around the steps, it's not quite reaching that level, but when you can see it near the front of the steps, there's obviously a light on each level. I think that's what's causing it. So just learning to balance that out for the person at home, just balancing out your light a little bit better, having more control over it. Next, actually we'll do another quick judge change. Bruce, you can take a little break. Faru, you can take another little break. If I could get David back on the panel, and Harriet. Harriet. If I can have either Harriet, Hillary or Heather, whoever's in the room. Do we have a Wadger? Next image, please. Just yours, Mark. Oh, no, we're all in. No, it's all good, we're all in. It averages 87, but it is a 90, gold. So again, for the listeners back home, that essentially means that the majority of judges, 3 all out of the 5, have elected to put this in the gold range. So it's a gold award. It looks like we're all pretty happy with that, I'm sure. We are going to get a comment from that. So I'm going to get 2 comments. It's got its score, it's a gold award. Everyone happy? Yeah. You wish to challenge that?
No, I can't. Well, I could. Can the goalkeeper challenge?
That's why I asked, is everyone happy? And everybody nodded.
It's in the gold range, so
Yeah.
You just want more gold. Well, hang on a minute. We don't collaborate. No, let me rephrase that. We do have a collaborative opinion. We don't collude. Okay. But given that, I will call an elective challenge. So I'm sorry, an auto challenge, a panel challenge. So you'll all get the chance to rescore, but you only get the chance to speak once. It does have a 90. Okay, so be aware of that. Let me start with a comment from you, Johan, who's at the lower end, which I wouldn't normally do, but since you so want to speak, I'm going to let you speak.
Always. I must apologise for not being brave enough to go to gold, and I'm glad I have the chance to reference that. What a beautiful abstraction, lovely angles, lines, forms, and containment. It's just done so well. And what a lovely palette as well. Everything's good about it, and I don't know why I gave it an 85, and I apologise.
Well, let's hear from Harriet on 92.
Yeah, I was feeling similar, like high 80s or early 90s, but I thought, sod it, let's do it. So maybe we met in the middle a bit there. I just want to touch on the fact that this looks like an artist palette, and I just think that's wonderful just for that photographer to have brought in the building construction site with an art form, and it could be either. And I just want to say congratulations. That's a beautiful way of seeing the world.
Okay, Mark, you're at the other end, so what's your take?
Yeah, this is the stage has been set, and we're waiting for the action to happen in this specific process within within construction. So, from a commercial point of view, from an artistic point of view, I adore the colour palette. It's got everything going on. From a commercial standpoint, though, we really want to have the active action of those pilings taking place. The red also on the bottom left-hand corner just keeps on just pulling me out just that little fraction. So I really struggle with this because I get the colour palette, I get the beautiful abstract nature of it, but commercially, and that little bit of red just held me back. 80.
Okay. So, Kat, a comment from you?
Yeah, I think with the red crane, is it, or dig or whatever it is, for me it works well enough because it is balanced by that red in the top corner as well. So they're balanced. They're evenly balanced, those pops of colour, in the same way that the yellow and blue on the alternate corners are. So that, for me, that harmony works just fine. And for me, the action point of this image, the main character for me is the truck, the white truck, bringing in that gigantic auger to do some, decent digging. Like, this thing is really about to start getting serious. So I was at 90, happily so. We're talking about it, so let's, gold it is.
This is a you're right, this is a real art shot. I could see this on Lend-Lease or Boulderstone's boardroom wall, like as just something special, an annual report cover. He would do all those things. It's so well seen, it's like the photographer actually was able to choreograph all these bits of machinery, which is probably highly unlikely. So he really, or she, or they have waited for just a moment when all these components have come together and hung together, and it doesn't disturb me that there's no action yet, because you might only have access to the site when there's no work going on. So the way he's pulled it, or she, or they have put all the colours together is just a beautiful thing. So I gave it 90, but I happily give it more.
Okay, so as you go to rescore, you can all rescore. Just take into account that, again, you've got that chart, and just in a nutshell, highly commended is a high standard of professional work, and we're talking about commercial work. Silver award means you're saying it's a very high standard, and when we look at gold, we're talking about superior or outstanding. So take that into account as you take on board what you've heard, and you can all choose to stay where you are. You can lift or raise your score, or you could lower your score. It's entirely up to you. And we're nearly all done. You all get to rescore because it was an auto challenge. David? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just mine's gone stupid for a minute. I'll be there in a tick, okay. Thank you.
Image scores 91, gold award. Well done. Next image, please. This has a description, commercial use. Commercial use description, every cocktail on the menu, commissioned by Martini & Co. There's a party waiting to happen.
Can we have that table today?
Just waiting on one more. Go ahead. Image scores 82, silver award. Have a challenge from David on 92. There's a 76, a 78, 81 and 83.
There is so much work and attention to detail in this image. I particularly like the fact that the photographer has gone to a landscape panoramic format, not the normal ratios. There's so much detail and little things like the stir shaker, the drink shaker is lying over on its side. It's got a nice warm colour to it, not just the usual dull silver. There's so many elements to control, and it may well have all been the photographer's work, or there could have been a designer involved. There's a lot and lots there, so I think it's, and it looks just beautiful. It's, like, you look at that, you don't need to have a couple of martinis. You're already on the way.
Johan?
Yeah, I hate being the naysayer. I gave it a 76, and it was for the lack of perfection. The perfection's the most important thing about this image. There's a lemon or something, or orange in the top right-hand corner that has quite bad markings on it that are part of the lemon, but if you're going to this degree of representation, you want the best of the best in your produce. The strawberries have got white ends on them. They should have been red strawberries that really are inviting and tempting. So I just felt a bit let down by the setup. The concept and the photograph itself is intriguing, delightful, happy and joyous, but those things let me down.
Okay, Mark, you're in the middle.
Yeah, look, this has got immediate impact and punch, and just all applause to getting every single one of those drinks still looking and remaining scrumptious whilst getting all of that onto the table. The big thing that really held me back was the colour shift from the cool blue on the top left right down to the warm on the right. If that had been consistent, I would have been well and truly up there. I can forgive a few imperfections in fruit, but the colour cast is kind of, yeah.
Back to you, David.
I don't think the fruit's an issue that would lose this image, 20 or more points at all. The colour cast, I just felt that was part of the story. You go from cool to warm. There are cooler elements on the left-hand side and warmer pinks, orange, yellows on the right. So perhaps that's quite a designed feature. Don't see that holding it back, and I really think the photographer's ability and lighting and construction should be rewarded.
Okay, thank you. You hold your score, David, at 92. Everybody else can rescore.
I'll put it back in. Okay.
Same score, David, as before. Okay, thank you. Image scores 83, silver award. Well done. And we'll have the next image, please. No comment with this one. Image scores 86, solid silver. Challenge from Katrina on 92. We had 2 92s, an 88, an 82 and a 77.
We were even, technically. Yes, this, I do believe this is well worthy of a gold. The decision to submit this as a black and white, I think, is really brave in terms of it would be very easy with these sort of newly constructed play spaces, sports areas, where the colour is beautiful and it's all new and fresh and gorgeous. So I think that demonstrates a level of vision and, turning this scene into sort of this is like a character almost. It's like a little house on its own. It reminds me of those, those kids' play mats that have the roads and things on them. I'm getting that sort of vibe. Really nice contrast between, the natural and the synthetic. They could otherwise be jarring, but it works quite well. The central composition, shape, line, form, tone, contrast. I'm finding it difficult to fault, so if you want to hit straight to the faults, go.
Harriet?
Yeah, definitely like a beautiful graphic image. I guess I had it on a highly commended. I'm actually losing a lot in the black and white. All I can see is this beautiful natural environment around this graphic kind of man-made feature, and I want to see the colours and the textures within that. I feel like I'm losing a lot of texture through not seeing that colour of that natural environment, and therefore that juxtaposition between the natural and the man-made is not as prevalent. But I'm trying to see in monochrome, and I'm trying to bring it up.
Mark, you were next.
Yeah, look, I would have been up there, and I don't mind the black and white. I actually really quite enjoy it, but there's 2 elements that are drawing me away from the hero part of the section, and that's the bottom left-hand corner with that bright white square keeps on pulling me away, and then the cropping of that circular element on the top right as well. So I've got these 2 elements on the diagonal that are just pulling my eye away, and had that highlight at the top been toned down a little bit and that little square been removed, I would have been absolutely there, but I just can't. There's a pull with my eyes that isn't working.
David, something to add?
I think I really want to reward the photographer for going to black and white. This is about the product. It's about the people that have built the courts and made the space. It's not about the bush and the surroundings. So taking out colour leaves you only to look with the very clean layout, the beautiful graphics. I'm not disturbed, actually, by Mark, you make some good points, but that doesn't disturb me because I can't take my eyes off the central figure, which is the courts, which is the client's, surely the client's whole reason for having the photograph taken. And I'm happy to go up.
Johan?
Cool. I appreciate that you're disturbed by the curve, the missing curve on that island or whatever. However, by being in black and white, it's less influential. The little white squares are fantastic because they turn it not just into a graphic, but into a technical drawing. And they're repeated elements right around the whole image. And so they exist and they are part of the man-made element structure. It's such a strong, simple, beautiful form. The texture of the, let's call it the green area, is coarse and rough, and you can feel it. You can almost feel the prickles of it, whereas the man-made area is smooth and clean and beautiful and sensitive and all those yummy words. Anyway, so I gave it a 92, and I'm happy for it to sit in the 90s.
Yeah, wonderful. I think we're there. Just to address the square that you can see, Mark, and yes, I agree, it does pull your eye, but in saying that, it's like a little point of punctuation because there are actually several of those, more actually, right throughout this whole image. So you can actually sort of, it's like a dot to dot almost, like you can join these all, join the dots. It's like, it works for me. And also just sort of the general, on that same sort of vein, this sort of etch-a-sketch feel that's going on as well. I just think this image has a lot going for it, and I believe we're already there, so see how you go. Come up to gold.
Hold your score, Kat, and everybody else rescore, please. Image scores 90, gold award. Okay, next image, please. There's no additional comment to this one. A reminder, this is in the digital category, the professional categories. This is the commercial category, including architecture, travel, fashion, still life, food, corporate, and other areas of commercial photography. While images don't have to be commercially commissioned, they should demonstrate some value towards a commercial commission. Image scores 86. Silver award. Is everybody happy with that?
We've got time.
Okay, David's on 90, so he's going to challenge that, being in the gold range. We have 82, 83, 86 and 88.
I mean, at my first glance at this, I could just be looking at a Mondrian or an artwork of some form, but it's not. It's a physical piece of architecture. It's a stairwell going up to light fittings. What I really liked about it was the rendering of the texture in the cement, the rough cement work, which is the red area, and as it moves through, it doesn't lose anything. The highlights just hold, and it's the most unusual point of view. So, you know, I definitely think this was worthy of gold for imagination, and quite likely quite a difficult shot to execute.
Mark, you're at a low silver.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been there because it's almost a postmodernist eyeball staring back at you, but the gradation could have been handled with a little bit more delicacy to address the difference in contrast from the left to the right, and I would have loved to have seen a little bit more contrast and richness in that right hand side of the red to really draw you right through into that three-dimensional feel.
Johan, no comment?
Okay, so I gave it 88. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's a photograph built to enjoy. I appreciate all the good things about it. I feel it deserves a high silver. I'm not taking it to gold purely because when I look at it, my eye keeps just drifting off to the right because it's brighter over that end. And so it's just a small but important distraction. But I did give it an 88, and I believe that's where it should be.
Okay, back to you, David.
Okay. Yes, it does that. I don't find that a distraction that would cost it gold, because what pulls your eye all over and over again are the 1, 2, 3, 5 lights right in the middle. You can't get away from them. And the fact we have a stronger red on the left and a softer or a more exposed right-hand side, that doesn't worry me at all. It's just all of part what pulls you right into the centre and holds you there. So I encourage my fellow judges to just take it up those 2 points.
Well said. Hold your score. And everybody else can rescore accordingly. Thanks. And the image scores 89. It's a very high score. It's interesting in this role because one of the roles of the panel mentor in this new system is to act as a sixth source of knowledge, but not a sixth judge. But sometimes that extra knowledge at the wrong time can act as a judge. So I'm choosing at times not to add in because it's always interesting to hear the comments coming in. That was an interesting one. That's the last image in this category. Well done, guys. That was the commercial category. In the digital professional categories. Thank you to our judges. Well done. Thank you to Elijah and Alicia for support behind the scenes there. And we'll be back in a not too distant future with the landscape something categories. I don't mean to sound vague, but I do come across as vague, don't I? Digital landscape will be coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes for those of you at home. Okay, so I need the following judges for that.